artist with the Idaho Watercolor Society. I'm so looking forward to painting with you today. Stay tuned. Today we're going to paint this cupcake. I figured it'd be kind of fun with the cherries on top, so let's start off with the cherries. I'm going to use some different reds for the cherries. And I will have a list of my favorite watercolors that I use in my palette. So you could grab that, just click on the link, and it will tell you which watercolors I like. I use different brands of watercolors. Some are Daniel Smith, and I also like a honey-based watercolor that I use, which is Graham, M. Graham. They're really cool. So I'm just going to work on the cherries first. I like to do some little outlines and then fill them in. Now, if you don't want your watercolors to run together, you let one dry and work on a different section. And that means that will let you use your watercolors right up against each other. Sometimes people are afraid to do that because they don't let it dry in between. And then you get these white halos around everything, which I think look kind of funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on one section of the painting and then move to another section, so I won't have that problem. So this one is pretty dry already, so I can work on that. This paper is not 300 weight, it's a light 140 weight, which means the paint will dry a lot faster, which is nice. And you can just have some fun painting quickly. I'm going to leave some little white spots on the cherries. I'll come back and put more color on these cherries in a minute. Let's work on the bottom of the cupcake while these dry. I'm just using this little brush today. I like it. It's a 4. And I will put a list of different brushes that I like as well. Let's work on this. We're going to use a dark color to kind of, it's going to be a chocolate cupcake. So I'm going to be using this dark color in here. I'll add some dark brown sepia color. But for now, I'm just going to start with that. And let's add this brown. Let's see, what color should the cupcake cup be? Maybe a blue. We'll use a blue for the cupcake cup. So we're going to just kind of, I'm going to come back over here with some blue and put the little lines in blue. And we'll come back in here with a little more color in a minute. It will be darker down here with the brown from the cupcake. I'm going to go to a little larger, size 6. And let's see if that's dry. Let's start working on the frosting. Let's do a pretty bright pink frosting. I think that'll be fun. I'll just come along. Sometimes you have more water on the brush than you want. Use your paper towel or a towel. I actually have a rag that I use a lot of times instead of paper towels. This is a fun cupcake we're painting. I like it with the cherries on top. I like to leave some white spots. So watercolor paper, there's some that are bright white. I like those sometimes if I'm painting a painting that I want a lot of highlights left in it. It's a bright white color. Add a little more in here. So I put less water on the brush and just picked up more pigment to make it a little darker. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm coming back down here. So for the cupcake, I like this sepia color, and it is a Winsor Newton color. So I like that. I'm going to be using some of that. I tend to use this color a lot. It's very dark, but I really like it. I don't use black. If I want a black tone, I will use the sepia color with some indigo. And I also like Payne's Gray a lot for like a dark gray color or neutral tint. And I'm just making this dark because you know how when you have a cupcake and you can tell that if it's a chocolate cupcake or not, even when you just look at the cupcake cup, because it kind of shows through. So that's why I'm doing this now. I'm going to use a little more of the blue in here. I should let you know when I paint a painting, like I'm working on an iris for the Watercolor Society show, I might take as long as a month to get that painting done. So when I'm doing these little shows for you, little vignettes, it's more about just showing you different techniques so that when you go to do a painting, you can see, oh, I can do wet on wet, or I can add some color while it's still wet, or wait till something dries to come back to it. I'm just basically trying to show you some techniques more than have my painting turn out perfect. So that's my objective when I'm doing these. So if you go, oh, gee, your paintings in real life that you have on your website or Etsy store don't quite look like the little ones on YouTube, that's why. I just want to show you different ways of doing things. And now we're going to come back into the cherries. I'm going to take a little more of that pyro red color and make this a little darker. And we'll make this one darker. I'm kind of liking this one with a little of that orange in there. But we're going to take it and make it a little darker up here. And I'm going to add a little more of that yellow. Blend it in there. Okay. They're kind of starting to look like juicy cherries. And now let's do a little of the color of the cupcake. Once again is a brown color for the chocolate. And I'm going to put that right in here. With watercolor, you get to figure out when you want more water or not, or less, and sometimes your brush might be wetter than you think it is, so just hit it with the paper towel or the cloth that you have there and take off some of the water. And we'll make that a little darker. Just put a little more color in here. I've used a little bit of the burnt sienna with the sepia just to add more tones of color, a little more dimension. Okay, let's go back to the frosting. And that was a pretty opera pink that I used. And I'm just going to put the lines in. Now this is going to be another color of frosting. Let's put some little stems on the cherries. Once again, I'll use that sepia. It's almost like a black. And I'm just going to put the little stems. Okay. And let's work on a shadow for the cupcake. I'm going to use a bigger brush for the shadow, and it's going to be a bluish color shadow with a tiny bit of purple. And I'm just going to come around like that. And the shadows just ground your painting so they don't just look like they're floating in space. And usually shadows are darker right near the object, and then they get lighter. So that's what I've done there. I'm going to add a little bit of blue because there is blue in the cupcake cup. So it's reflecting. So there's the shadow. So the only thing we have left is this here. Now, what color frosting shall we make that? Let's do, let's see, how about doing just a yellow frosting in there? That might be fun. Just a little yellow in here. This is kind of a fun little painting if you want to paint someone's birthday card. There are watercolor cards that you can purchase, and you could just make personalized little cupcake cards for birthdays or holidays, Valentine's Day. And then you just sign your name, and then they could always frame them. And there's that. Shall we put some sprinkles on there? Why not? Let's do some sprinkles. Maybe we'll put some sprinkles here, different colors of sprinkles. Blue sprinkles. And let's do some orange sprinkles. Always wanting to just add a little something more. There we go. You can add more sprinkles here once it dries, but if I do it while it's wet, it's just going to spread out. The only other thing I want to do is, I think the frosting probably went over the cherry. The cherry's sitting in the frosting, so I just got to kind of add that up here. Okay, there we go. And there's our cupcake. Hope you had fun watching and painted along with me. Thank you for watching. If you like my little videos, please hit subscribe, and I'll let you know when more are coming. Thanks for watching.